All right, change the keyboard. You want to take out these two screws first. 1, 2. Once those screws are taken out, lift up the lid. And you're going to take out this screw and this screw. After taking those screws, you're going to pull down carefully, because as you can see, you have connections. You're going to want to disconnect those. 1 here, 2 here, 1 here, and then 1 on the back side. There's ribbon cable down there. Now this part is only if you don't have the built-in LEDs. If you have an old style keypad, you'll see that this connector here has 2 white wires in it. It'll look like this. Okay? If those are in there, you just need to pull them out and leave them with the keypad. Once those are disconnected, hold the top and bottom here. The top here, the bottom here. Kind of lower this down gently. Your keypad's up here. You're gonna need to take out all of these nuts. That's holding in the keypad here. Top, middle, and bottom. 1 under here. You're gonna take all of those out. Take these connectors off, yellow up, and put them on the new keypad. Once everything's disconnected, you should be able just to kind of push on different edges, and it should pop out. Also, cut any zip ties holding wires to old keypad. So grab your new keypad, flip it over, and you should see welding power supply. That's gonna go on top. So what you wanna do is you kinda wanna get that in there. Just gonna push it down, and then lift the lid back up. And then just give it a couple more pushes. Sometimes you gotta finagle it because some of these bolts don't push through the holes, as you can see here. So you just kind of keep working it in. All right, once the keypad's in, you can zip tie these if you want to the little pads back here, and zip tie this to this one back here if you want, for aesthetics, and to keep the cables from falling out. But then your next step after that is you're going to put all your nuts back in on each of these pegs. And these middle ones get 2 nuts. It's going to be a nut, ground cable, and then another nut. On this one as well, nut, ground cable, another nut. All right, now that I got 1 nut on the middle, 1 nut on the middle, you're going to take 1 ground, 1 nut, put a ground, and then put your nut on that peg. So that's what it's going to look like. You tighten it, of course. So it's going to be nut, ground, nut, in each of the middle prongs. Now that's how it should look on both sides. Nut, ground, nut, and then you got all your other nuts. It should be stable in there. Now you need to connect your connectors back. So carefully pull this lid up so it's close to this back lid. Kind of hold it with one hand so you can see in there, and then connect the connectors with your other hand. So these 2 connectors right here, the closest LED to you, the connector goes to the back port of these 2 connectors. So the closest one, which is this one, goes to the back one first. And then the back LED goes to the front connector, this one. After you put the screws in, slowly pull it down. And then you're gonna put these screws back in. 1, 2. If you connect them all correctly, it should look like this. All right, now lean it back up and put the screws back into these two. After that, putting in the screws, plug in your power, turn it on. There you go. Now your top one should say to weld, press library. To program, press pro. And your bottom should say temp, cool, input, sensor. If they're switched, that means those two connectors were plugged into the ports wrong.